Hi, Giovanni.
Oh, is this your favorite nephew?
I know. I'm glad you came.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me back, and I can't wait to make some tamales.
Okay, come on to the kitchen then.
Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Giovanni Valderas from the Fort Worth Community Arts Center, and I'm so excited because today we're going to be making Guatemalan tamales with my family. So joining me here today is my aunt Blanca, her daughter Renee,
Hi.
and her granddaughter Sophia. And today we're going to teach everyone how to make tamales. Alright, so these aren't these traditional Mexican tamales that we see. These are a little bit different because they have special ingredients. And I was wondering maybe if you can kind of tell us about them, because these ingredients have these kind of variety of colors and textures that make it a really kind of complex taste. So what goes into a Guatemalan tamale?
Well, this is my mother's recipe. Maybe people do it different.
Yeah.
But this is the sauce that we put a lot of seeds, and it has to be kind of thick.
And what I love about this sauce is like so much stuff goes into it besides love. Pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, and
Different chilies.
yeah, and all that will be available on the website so everyone can see how they can make their own sauce. But you also put in pork as well, right?
Yes, we took just meat, the pork.
And you put it in raw and then you marinate it overnight so the sauces can kind of soak up.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we add for decoration and flavor, olives and red peppers, green, and some chickpeas for texture. And some people like prunes too. And the masa, you have to cook it.
Yeah, you were telling me about that. So it comes in a bag like this, which I think everyone kind of has seen at the store. And you put in, what's the average, how many cups to water?
For example, like 4 cups of water, of powder, we put about 7 cups of water.
And how many will that make? Like about
10 tamales.
10 tamales. And this is why it's such hard work to do this, because it's such a strenuous job. And this is why a lot of times families get together and make these tamales.
Yeah, my daughter always comes to help me, and my little granddaughter too.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah. So, show us how to roll up a tamale.
Well, you have the masa ready, you cook it, and then you have the sauce, and you put it inside.
And so before you do all that, like you have to create a little mound of the masa, right? Or the corn maize, so you can kind of create like a little pocket where you put all the ingredients in, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So
And then next you put the olives after you put the sauce. You put the marinade pork in there, and then after
Ooh.
that,
yes, and then you push it down.
And it's okay if it kind of comes out running like that?
Yes.
Okay.
That just makes it better tamale. And then next you grab your green olives, and that just makes it decorative and nice. And you put 2 in. Make sure it's only 2.
And so Blanca, like, as you were growing up in Guatemala, like, what was it about the tamales that you love about it so much?
because it reminds me of my mother, Mama Lily. We call her Mama Lily, everybody. And this is her recipe. I know there is people that make the tamales probably with a different recipe, but this is my mother's. So she gave me the recipe.
And she used to sell them like when you were kids, right?
Yeah, she used to sell them, for Christmas. And everybody loves her tamales.
Yeah. And what I find really fascinating, different parts of the region of Guatemala have different kinds of tamales.
Yes, like for example, in a place called Quesaltenango, up in the mountains, they do black tamales. See, they are kind of sweet, but this one, they are not sweet.
Yeah. So do you remember what the first time you ate a tamal, or do you remember your first experiences?
Yes, I remember I was 5, 6 years old that my grandmother and my mother used to make them.
Really?
And I was interested in doing them too. And we are like 4 daughters. but I am the only one that makes it.
That makes
And
And
now my daughter Renee likes to do it too, and she
Yeah.
comes to help me, and
then
it's fun.
and then she passed it down to me.
awesome.
Yes.
All right. So what's next? What
So
do
you
else?
add red bell peppers and you just put them like this, so they're not too close to each other. And then
Okay.
after you put the red bell peppers, you put the green bell peppers, and that just gives it more flavor of bell peppers.
And it kind of reminds everyone of Christmas time, right? The red and
Yeah, the
green.
colors. That's why we put different colors.
Yes, and that's why we actually put those exact colors, because we want it to feel like a Christmassy time.
Right.
And then we put the chickpeas, and then we
And
put
some
a
people
few
like the
prunes.
prunes.
And there, and so you can put one because these are giant. And then, so you put those in.
And so the tamal is ready to wrap it. And you have to wrap it very carefully, like you are.
Wrapping like a Christmas present?
Yes.
Basically. So, yeah. And then you.
And about the leaf.
Yeah, so one of the biggest key points of one of the best ingredients that we use for the Guatemalan tamales that are different from Mexican tamales is that we use a banana leaf. So when we get them at the stores, they're gigantic, and so we have to cut them down to the perfect size, rinse them, and let them soak in water so they're easy to fold, and that once they get cooking, it transmits some really good flavor, infuses the tamale.
Oh, interesting.
And another different thing from the Mexican tamales is that you can eat one tamal for this,
Yes,
for a dinner.
giant.
Yeah.
And Mexican tamales are small ones.
Yeah, so traditional Mexican tamales are really skinny, typically filled with like one kind of flavor or like of meat. And what I love about Guatemalan tamales is that each bite has a different taste to it. And it's so surreal, but also really great at the same time.
Yes, because you have the tomatoes and all the ingredients that you can chew and feel something.
Yeah, it's a really complex kind of taste and texture to all of it. And that's what I love about it so much. So Mary, like, what was your first experience with Guatemalan tamal?
Yeah, so one of my biggest memories and best memories of making tamales, which is why I love doing this so much with my mom, is, when we were younger, my mom, as she was transitioning our family to move to the United States, my sister and I lived with Mama Lily, and for me, that was, to me, she's like my second mom, and so anytime we go back to Guatemala, which we go maybe once a year to go see her, she always has like the best Guatemalan fare ready for us. Like as soon as we were walking through the door, she has everything ready, and so we have tamales rojos, like chuchitos, but these are our favorite because this is Mama Lily's special recipe. Like no one makes it the way she does.
Yeah, that's what I love about going back to Guatemala is our grandmother, Mama Lily, has this whole setup ready for us. It's almost like this huge welcoming. It makes us feel at home. She does her best. And how old is she now? 90?
She's 90. She just turned 90 this year.
Yeah, it's amazing. And one of my fondest memories is when we would leave Guatemala going back to the States, we'd have like a suitcase packed with tamales, which I remember at the time I hated it. It was like, oh, why do we gotta bring like tamales back home? But I think that's in everybody's family, right? We're always bringing something back that reminds us of home.
Yeah.
So now that we have these tamales ready, what do we do next?
Then we put this in here, lay it flat.
Okay.
I'm gonna go and put my tamale.
All right.
Good job. Awesome.
Good.
Thanks, Mommy.
And so Blanca, what I've always wanted to know a little bit more is that photograph where all y'all were younger, and I think you were somewhere in the jungle or some rural area.
Oh yes, I remember. We used to go to school here in the United States, and for vacation we used to go to Guatemala. And my mother will have a lot of food to take to my brother. He was a lieutenant in the mountains, serving in the mountains, and so she will make tamales and all kind of food. So we will bring him all the food to my brother.
And so would y'all just have like a picnic and just hang out?
Yeah, we used to go to the river, and we used to have a picnic there.
And then
And we enjoyed so much because we didn't see our brother for more than a year. Mm-hmm.
And what was that like in the jungle? Like,
Oh, it was very dangerous at that time. It was in the 80s, no, in the 60s. And so,
because there was a civil war happening,
Uh-huh.
right?
and he was up in the mountains where all the gorillas were. So we were so scared, but we enjoyed. And he lived in a very small room, and we used to sit by the river and enjoy eating, and that was really nice time that we had.
Wow.
And unfortunately, my brother Ruben, he was killed.
Yeah, I remember that was always a big story and a big void in our family, and these were some of the stories I remember always hearing about it.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, how long do these sit in the?
We put them for 2 hours to boil
Okay.
because the meat has to cook, and after the 2 hours, they are ready to eat. But you need to let them cool a little bit, so they will be kind of
They get
hard.
Hard. Okay.
Mhm. Okay, so now let's wait for 2 hours so they can boil.
All right. All right. So, since we got some time, since the tamales are getting ready, I've always had one question I've always wanted to ask you, which is, who's your favorite kid? Like, who's your favorite child? I know your daughter's here, and you have 2 more kids, but we won't tell anybody. And so tell us about the time when you all moved to Canada. How did you make tamales in Canada, which I would imagine at that time, in the early 90s, late 80s, there wasn't too many ingredients over there available.
Yeah, that time when we got to Canada, there were not too many Hispanics. When we got there, it was late 80s, I think.
Yeah.
And there was only one Hispanic store called Los Andes, but they didn't have a lot of things from Guatemala.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so my mother used to ship them from Guatemala. If a friend went to Guatemala, she will send me the ingredients, and so we could make the tamales in Canada.
Wow. So, and I remember seeing photos of breaking piñatas in like blizzard conditions. What was that like? Like having the family there together.
For me, growing up as a kid, I mean, I was 5 years old when we moved there. So my experience with my cousins were so much fun because we had so many. I think there was a total in the family, about 23 cousins. And 3 of y'all lived here in Dallas. So the rest of us lived up there. And so our parties were always so much fun. Like all 5 families would get together and kids would be running wild in the 90s playing hide and seek throughout the whole neighborhood, and adults eating and enjoying some beers, like listening to music. One of our friends would always have a guitar, or not our friends, but a family friend. They would sing rancheras, Don Juanito.
Wow.
So it was always really fun and festive.
And Veronica, my sister-in-law, Jaime's wife, she used to make the piñatas. Because they were not piñatas in Montreal.
Yeah.
And so she used to make it for every birthday.
For all the kids.
That's where I get my talent.
There you go.
Apparently.
I remember.
Well, when Josh and I first got married, we got to travel for an extended period of time, and we set some roots down in Antigua, Guatemala. And so it was really, I don't know, Guatemala to me has always been, the way our family has raised us, has always been so in depth with our culture, like they've always made us realize and appreciate like where we're from and who we are and how it plays into who we are. And so when we got married, living there, Josh wanted to learn Spanish, so he took Spanish classes, and every walk to school he would see the volcano erupt, Fuego.
Wow.
And it's like beautiful. You get all 4 seasons in different parts of the country at the very same time. It could be up in the mountains, it could be snowing, it could be by the coast and have like tropical weather. It's just, it really is so beautiful.
So tamales should be ready, right?
Yes, they are
All right.
ready. How many? Yeah.
Oh,
Four.
I think we're done.
Good. Hold off your phone.
Thank you so much, Blanca, for taking the time to chat with me and show everyone how to make a tamale.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming,
Thank
Giovanni.
you, Ramon. Thank you. I'll see everyone later.
All right.
Have a good
Thank you.
one.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.